Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear learners. I welcome you to English Grade 9 video lessons. I'm your instructor Zia Hamid. I hope that you're having a good time learning about different subjects and different topics. So now today we are going to deal with unit number 2 titled A Visionary Leader, and our competency is of grammar, and we are dealing with punctuations. This will be our lecture number 2. So my dear learners, before exploring the word of punctuations, let us read and break down our students' learning outcome for this lesson. It says, demonstrate command of the conventions of standard English capitalization, punctuation, and spelling when writing in different varieties of text. So what do we understand? We understood that we will understand and demonstrate command of the conventions of standard English capitalization. We will be learning the importance of using correct capitalization, the upper and lowercase letters while we are writing something, and also the punctuation, the whole process of punctuations and how we can use them correctly, and spelling when writing in different varieties of text. But now in this lesson we will be dealing with punctuations only and thoroughly, but we will also show a hint of capitalization, and we will deal with the spelling and the whole process of using correct spellings later in any other lecture. So our focus for today's lesson and for this SLO will be punctuations and a little bit about capitalization. So here is a vertical linkage of this SLO with the previous in grade 8. In that you learned about punctuate paragraphs and longer pieces of text correctly. So what will be different in this unit and in this SLO? We will explore different punctuations with examples. So before that, let us understand that using correct punctuation and ultimately having to adopt good communication skills is very important. So Islam stresses the importance of clear and precise communication. The Quran, being the primary source of guidance for Muslims, is revealed in clear Arabic language to ensure understanding. Similarly, when writing in English or any other language, clarity in expression through proper capitalization, punctuation, and spelling is essential to convey messages accurately and effectively. So, as you know that in every language we have some rules of punctuations. Why do we need them? We need them to convey our message free of any confusion and free of any errors. Same goes with Quran. Allah used good expressions. He used perfect communication style and way to make us understand the message that he wanted to send us. So this is very important, and we will be following the concept of the whole idea of punctuating our sentences, our dialogues, so that we can convey a very effective message. So let's begin by reading our pre-reading question. Today we have a question: why do you think it's important to use correct spelling, punctuation, and capitalization in your writing? You may use them, but have you ever thought that why it's necessary? Why do we emphasize so much on little things like full stops, commas, apostrophes? I hope that you know about this, and if you don't, think over it. Talk to your fellows and brainstorm more about it so that you can know the emphasis and the importance of using punctuations. So what if we don't use punctuation in our writing? What will happen? Here is an example, rather two examples. You can see in this one, it says why commas save life. Here, if you've written this sentence, let's eat grandpa, it gives a message that you're going to eat grandpa. So if you use apostrophe, if you use comma here, I mean preposition, with proper placement of the preposition, of the punctuation, sorry, you can see that the message is pretty much clear. The boy is asking his grandpa to eat. So there's a difference between let's eat grandpa and let's eat grandpa. This may sound funny, but it is true. If you make such mistake, your message will be misunderstood. Here also, Rachel Ray finds inspiration in cooking her family and her dog. It gives a very dangerous message, right? So we need to use correct punctuation marks in our writing. So let's brainstorm, right? So why do you think is punctuation important? I hope this is pretty much clear from now that punctuation is important because we want to not be misunderstood and we want to send a clear message. So after this heavy brainstorming, I hope that you're ready to do this activity. We have some sentences for you. I know that you already know so much about punctuations, punctuation marks. Can you recall all those concepts and put them in these sentences? Pause the video and do that right now. So let us see punctuation. Before that, we will see the concept of capitalization, because this is equally important, and we will just read the definition and some examples, and then we will be moving forward to punctuations. Here we use capital letters to start a sentence. You know that already. Languages, days of the week, months, and names of countries. Your name or beginning of any quotations. For example, if you're learning the name of countries or languages, Jamila speaks English, you always capitalize the first letter of the language, the name of the language. Days of the week, we write them with the first letter to be capital. Months and countries, names, your quotations will start with a capital letter. So these are some standard conventions of capitalization. Now let's move forward to punctuation. So punctuation is the system of symbols. Yes, those symbols that you already know, right? That we use to separate sentences and parts of sentences and to make their meaning clear. Each symbol is called a punctuation mark. My dear learners, keep this in mind. We use punctuation marks. So without punctuation marks, it would be difficult to understand what one person is trying to say. So the meaning would be misinterpreted. Okay, so the punctuation marks are, we are familiar with these. They are comma, ellipses, your quotation marks, questions and exclamatory marks. Also parentheses, semicolon, dashes, colons and brackets. You can see all of them very clearly in different texts. So this is why we use punctuations. Now let's go through these punctuation marks one by one. We have our most important one, full stop. So what punctuation mark indicates the end of a sentence? What do we see after every sentence? Most of it. You see a full stop, a period. You put the full stop at the end of the sentence. For example, a dog likes bones. It's ended with a period, a full stop. Now let's see comma. So commas, why they are used in this sentence? They are used first to separate items in a list or series of 3 or more. If you have so many things to list in your writing, in your topic, you just break them down with commas. The federal government has the power to regulate business, establish public schools, and conduct local elections. So the power of the federal government with these 3 things, they are separated by commas. It separated the 3 functions mentioned of the federal government. So another thing is to introduce or end a quotation in a sentence. This is also a situation where we use commas. Let's see, Ronald Reagan once said in his speech, the federal government did not create the states created the federal government. So this comma right here, just before the quotation is starting, we use it right here. So this is one of the purposes of using commas. Now let's go to hyphen. Hyphen is this little dash that you see. So let's take, for example, this thing. The well-known author has published over 20 best-selling novels. The novels are best-selling. So this word best-selling is separated by a hyphen. So in this example, the hyphen is used to join the words well and known also here to form the compound adjectives well known. This compound adjective modifies the noun author, indicating that the author is a famous one and is widely famous and reputed. So we use hyphen to join compound words or to separate syllables of a single word. You can use more than one hyphen or two hyphen in one word. Apostrophe is for showing contractions. So an apostrophe is a punctuation mark used in contractions to replace missing letters. The contraction will stands for we will, but when you shorten it, you use apostrophe in order to short the word we will. So they are used to form contractions and they are used to show possession. John's car, the boy's bike, and etc. Now a semicolon, it's suggested by the name. It's not a full colon, rather it's a semicolon. It is used to give meaning to sentences that are independent but related to each other. We traveled by boat is separated by this semicolon on an amazing evening. So used to give meaning to sentences that are independent but they are related. We traveled by boat is an independent sentence. On an amazing evening, it joins that with it. So also now colon, the primary use of colons is to join main clauses. Colon can be used to introduce a list, extended quotations, and introduce an explanation of a statement. For example, here are some chocolate bars. All the chocolate bars, Mars bar, Milky bar, and Snickers, they are, before explaining that, you use a colon. So we have some other examples like extended questions. Billy said to his mom, "Can I have some popcorn, please?" So it also extended the quotation. Now here, explanation of a statement. If you want to explain something, you use the colon. A lion, and now you explain the large land-based feline predator situated in a pride. You give a description about the lion, then you use a colon. So interrogative and exclamation marks, they are question marks. It marks the end of a question, and you can see them, you can find them in your interrogative statements. Also, this thing is called an exclamation mark. You are familiar with it. It is used to show your emotions or your sudden feelings and expressions. Parentheses are basically these brackets that we use. They add extra information, and if they appear in the middle of a sentence, the other punctuation marks that surround them never go inside the parentheses. This is used for additional information also. For example, parenthetical information should be necessary to the rest of the sentence. For example, mom wants us home before 3 p.m. This is incorrect because there's no need of using a parenthesis here. The correct one is mom wants us home. and additional information is that she wants her before 3 p.m. So this is how you use parentheses correctly. Now we have an example here. Read it and then read this explanation also. The conference which was held last week was a great success. So it told us about the happening of the event and when did it happen, using a parenthesis as an additional information. So ellipses are these 3 dots that we often see at the end of dialogues when we are reading a play or any script. It shows an omission of a word or words, including whole sentences from a text. It uses to create a pause for effect. If the character is saying something and he's forgetting it or he's leaving the sentence at the end, the writer uses ellipses to show us that maybe the character is thinking or he's left the sentence without completing it. And it also shows an unfinished thought and to show a trail off into the silence. Now we have some examples over here, and now let's see quotation marks, that double quotes that we have. So the Oxford Learner's Dictionary defines it as pair of marks. It can be single or double, placed around a word or sentence, for example, etc., to show that it is what somebody said or wrote, that it is a title or that you are using it in an unusual way. So this is the use of quotation marks. Let's look at an example. For single quotation marks, they are called inverted commas, are mainly used to quote names, book titles or movie titles, or characters and specific terms that are given more importance than usual. For example, the quote here. So for double quotation marks, you use, obviously you know that if you're quoting somebody, you use the double quotations. Also, they are used to quote something someone said in their exact words. As in direct speech, they can also be used to cite something that is written or said by another person or author. Here are some examples. Now we have slash. So slash is, in punctuation, is a slanting line that is generally used instead of the conjunction or. So instead of using or, you just use the slash in order to show that you either mean this or that. So now we are at the end. We have a worksheet for you. In this, your understanding of punctuations and capitalization will be put into test. Now, my dear learners, at the end of the lecture, we have some resources for you added in the description of the video. They will be very helpful for you to understand and learn more about punctuations. A worksheet, question bank, skill sheet, PowerPoint presentation, and finally a lesson plan are added for you. At the end, I hope that you have understood the use of punctuation thoroughly. We saw different punctuation marks and different scenarios in where we can use them. Until the next lecture, this is your instructor Zia Hamid. Allah Hafiz.